All right. So this whole monkeypox thing. A week ago, I saw it when I was on my wrestling account. I saw that the Biden and his administration was putting out the emergency about it and monkeypox. I'm like, okay, that's odd. It's interesting. And I was going to talk about it, and I just said, yeah, it's. And the reason I thought that, and just just hear me out. The reason I thought that, I was like, is because nobody wanted COVID to go away. Well, no, that's wrong. Too many people didn't want COVID to go away, and too many people were able to sacrifice family and their own health to not change their way of life, which ultimately, due to bad health now because of COVID, changed their way of life. So with monkeypox, I didn't think about it until today, listening to an upload by Bo of the Fifth Column. And he said that there's a specific demographic that they're targeting. And I asked Sidra, and I was like, what demographic are they targeting? You know, what? Because I can't think of any other demographic to target other than, well, in all honesty, white people. Because they got a habit of having the money and freedom to go places and do stuff. So, it's not saying that all white people know, just the ones that do. Seriously, not all, just the ones that do. And I shouldn't have to say it, but I will have to say it, that I ain't being racist. I'm just seriously like, not all humans are murderers, just the ones that murder are murderers. So, if you're a murderer and you're mad that I'm picking on murderers, stop murdering.
But it's kind of too late because you already murdered.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're a murderer.
So, any case, Sidra was, she was the one that told me that it's the more or less same-sex community, or the non-binary community of sexual orientations that are not straight.
Specifically, men who have sex with men.
And honestly, that's every racial demographic until you think about where this was and most likely what's involved. Then when it comes to race, I mean, what I said earlier sort of kind of comes into play. But Sedrik can talk to you about that, because I'm just like, I didn't understand why anybody would want to put a downer on same-sex people for this. And so she looked it up and she found an article. She's not going to read it all, but it's by James Finn, who is an outstanding writer and very awesome. You can find him on medium.com. James, spelled regularly, Finn, Finn, and yeah, he's got 8,000 followers on Medium. So he knows what he's doing. So Sidra can take it from here.
So I first stumbled upon information talking about some monkeypox spreading in May, and monkeypox is a pox, like chickenpox, like smallpox. Smallpox, I believe, for the most part, is extinct. Monkeypox is supposed to be akin to it. Of course, it's caused by a virus, and it causes raised lesions on the skin. Most of you all probably had chickenpox. It's similar to that, but unlike chickenpox, which I think is very rarely fatal, it can be fatal. It was usually isolated to the continent of Africa. But based on this article by James Finn and other things that were coming out at the time, it was starting to pop up in other countries, which was unusual. So apparently back in April, there was this festival in the Canary Islands, which is, I believe, off the coast of Spain. They consider it like a super spreader event. Had over 80,000 LGBTQIA people. And that seems to be the origin of a large amount of the cases of monkeypox, which is why Bo was talking about is targeting a certain demographic. But even if it started there, it's not like they're the only ones that can get it. So don't tell yourself that anybody can get it. You don't. It's not a gay person's disease. It's monkeypox, all right? It's a pox. Anybody can get it. It's spread usually by skin to skin contact, and I believe contact with fluids.
Basically, it can be airborne. Basically.
Nah, don't take it there. Fluids as in not sneezed fluids. Fluids as in if you kiss. If you get someone's secretions on open wounds, things like that.
It's roughly the same as COVID. It's in the spittle. It's in if you trim your nose hairs, and I have noticed this since I started trimming my nose hairs a lot, that little droplets of mucus will fly out your nose. If you have a slightly runny nose, it'll just fly out when you exhale. It'll just fly out. And I've seen it, and I'm like, man, I need to grow the hair back. So that's what's been happening there. And so because of those little droplets, it can still be in there. So honestly, on average, 3 to 5 feet, basically.
Think about it more like chicken pox. Back in the day, Cousin Stevie's got chicken pox. Your mom might take you over there and throw you in the bed with him so you can get him out the way. It's mostly touch and contact with fluids. When you're talking about COVID, you're talking about airborne or aerosol like transmission, which is different.
Well, no, I wasn't thinking that. Airborne. Okay. When I said airborne, please forgive me, y'all. I wasn't thinking about that. Like if you spray something in the air and it just lingers forever and ever. I'm thinking about if it's you talking and spittle flies out your mouth and it lands in someone's eye, on their cheek, or in their mouth, or in their nose, which sounds gross, but then you can get it that way. I wasn't thinking that it stays in the air and just floats around forever and ever like COVID or the flu or something.
And we don't need that.
So that's why I was trying to be specific when I was talking about that.
I got you. But that's what's going on. And so because of the origins of this particular spread is reason why, gay men are being targeted. But there are also cases that are not linked to that festival that have been popping up in the U.S. and other countries. And when I was just searching for information about the origin of this current outbreak, something the New York Times popped up, and the rough headline said that it's a possibility, it's highly likely that monkeypox has been very slowly and quietly spreading since 2018. And that's what's going on.
So when it comes to blaming this demographic of people, that's usually a political or religious thing when that starts happening. I just want to point out to people that it got to the point some decades ago, there was a disease, and that disease was in the same-sex community. Well, here anyway, at first, allegedly. And then all of a sudden, this guy got it, and they was like, whoa, you must be of that demographic too. And he professed up and down, no. And then a woman got it. Then they said, it's not that. It must be drugs, sharing needles, because she's not part of that demographic because she's not a male. And then another woman got it, and then another, and then another guy got it, and some other guys got it, and those guys were with one of those women, and then they said, oh no, it's not just the same sex community, It's anybody. Because at first it was same sex, then it was black, and then once it got to the white people, then it turned into anyone, and then it became a national crisis to talk about. So if you're talking about since people are talking about monkeypox, it's because smaller demographics are not the only ones affected. And that's the point of that. Thank you for listening.